Just before dawn, the radio turns to static. A fully loaded cargo ship loses steering. No explosion, no storm, no warning. On the bridge, someone says, "We're drifting." Outside, the sea looks almost calm. By sunrise, they will be counting the missing. This is the part nobody tells you about the ocean. It doesn't need to rage to kill you. It doesn't need monsters. It doesn't even need bad luck, because death at sea is not evenly distributed. 70% of this planet is water, yet fatalities stack in the same narrow corridors, the same crossings, the same invisible pressure points on the map. Different ships, different decades, different technology, same outcome. The ocean doesn't hunt, but certain places don't forgive, and the pattern has been repeating for longer than most people realize. So here's the question. If the sea is everywhere, why do people keep dying in the same places? And what is it about those waters that turns a routine crossing into a final one? Let's rank them. Number 5, the Gulf of Aden. If you think the ocean only kills when it looks angry, you haven't seen this place. By day, the Gulf of Aden looks almost normal. Blue water, busy ships, a route that people cross every single day. But at night, it changes. Not because the sea transforms, because the humans do. August 3rd, 2025, before sunrise, a small boat leaves the coast of Yemen. Too many people, too little space. Faces turned forward like hope can balance a vessel. No one's thinking about ocean physics. They're thinking about one thing. Make it to the other side. The shoreline fades. The water stays calm. That's what makes it cruel. A little movement, a slight shift in weight. Someone stands up, someone panics, someone grabs the wrong arm. The boat leans. For a second, everyone freezes, like the whole world is holding its breath. Then it rolls. No dramatic crash, no thunder. Just screams in darkness and bodies disappearing where the sea was flat a moment ago. Within minutes, the surface goes quiet again. 76 dead, dozens missing. And the most terrifying part? The ocean didn't need a storm to do it. Now picture the same water, same night, but add the giant ships. Tankers and cargo vessels cutting through a narrow corridor, lights glowing like floating cities. And somewhere between them, smaller boats, unseen, unprotected. Then, piracy enters the story. When crews fear boarding, they don't travel the way they normally do. They change course suddenly. They speed up, slow down, switch direction. In open ocean, that kind of movement is annoying. Here, it can be fatal because the Gulf of Aden isn't dangerous looking. It's dangerous because it's crowded and tense, and nobody has room to breathe. One bad decision doesn't stay small here. It becomes panic. It becomes impact. It becomes people in the water. So yes, here, the danger is human. Fear, overload, desperation. But don't get comfortable blaming people, because the next sea on our list, it doesn't need overcrowding. It doesn't need pirates. It just waits and drains you slowly. And by the time you realize you're losing, you're already too tired to fight back. Number 4, the North Sea. If the Gulf of Aden is crowded chaos, the North Sea is quiet pressure. It doesn't look violent, just endless gray sky, gray water, wind that never really stops. Out there, oil platforms rise from the sea like metal islands. Men live on them for weeks at a time. 12-hour shifts, steel corridors, routine. That's the word that keeps repeating here. Routine. July 6th, 1988. Piper Alpha. Over 200 men on board. Another normal night shift. Earlier in the day, a safety valve had been removed for maintenance. It was noted. It was known. It was routine. But during the night, under pressure to keep production running, a decision was made. Restart the pump. At first, Nothing dramatic happened, just a gas leak, then a spark. The explosion tore through the platform so fast that many men didn't even understand what had happened. Lights went out, smoke filled the corridors, radio systems failed. Some ran toward lifeboats that were already unreachable. Some waited for instructions that never came. Others stood at the edge of the platform, looking down 150 feet at black freezing water. Behind them, fire. Below them, near freezing sea. Imagine that choice: jump and maybe survive the cold, or stay and burn. For over an hour, pipelines kept feeding fuel into the flames. It didn't sink. It became a furnace in the middle of the ocean. 167 men died that night, not because of a hurricane, not because of a rogue wave, because exhaustion, routine, and pressure had slowly narrowed the margin for error until there was none left. That's how the North Sea kills. Not suddenly, slowly. It wears systems down. It wears people down. It turns small compromises into irreversible moments. Before, a productive platform glowing in the dark. After, twisted steel collapsing into cold water. And if someone falls into that water, you don't have an hour. You have minutes. The North Sea doesn't scream. It drains you. And by the time you realize something is wrong, it's already too late. But listen carefully. As brutal as this place is, it still needed something to fail. Don't leave yet, because next, we're entering waters that don't wait for failure at all. Number 3, the Drake Passage. South of Cape Horn, the land disappears, and the ocean has nothing left to slow it down. This is the only place on Earth where wind can circle the planet without ever hitting a continent. No barriers, no shelter. All that energy squeezes through one gap between South America and Antarctica. That gap is the Drake Passage. And when wind, current, and cold collide here, the sea doesn't roll, it rises. Waves don't arrive in gentle rhythm. They stack close together, steep, heavy, relentless. There is no pause between impacts. That's why ships don't just ride the Drake, they survive it. In 1819, the Spanish vessel San Telmo entered these waters with 644 men on board. It was last seen fighting severe weather in the Drake Passage. After that, nothing. No confirmed wreckage, no survivors, 600 men erased between continents. If any of them had reached land, they would have been the first humans ever recorded in Antarctica. But the Drake does not return proof easily. Nearly a century later, Ernest Shackleton's ship Endurance entered the same region. The crew wasn't defeated by one dramatic storm. They were trapped. Ice formed around the hull. Pressure built slowly. Day by day, the pack ice shifted and tightened like a vice. Then came the sound. Wood cracking under forces stronger than steel ships today are designed to handle. The hull bent, splintered, and on November 21, 1915, the Endurance sank beneath the ice. The crew stood on frozen ocean thousands of miles from home. That's the Drake's second face. It doesn't always attack fast. Sometimes it surrounds you and crushes you slowly. Here, waves can reach towering heights. Storm systems move fast. Freezing water steals body heat in minutes, and rescue is rarely immediate. Before, explorers chasing history. After, men stranded on drifting ice in one of the coldest regions on Earth. The Drake Passage doesn't care about ambition. It amplifies force. It removes shelter. It pushes until something breaks. But there is one more layer to this ranking, because even here, the danger feels visible. You see the waves. You hear the wind. Don't leave, because the next place on our list doesn't look violent at all, and that's exactly why it's worse. Number 2, the Cape of Good Hope. On a map, the Cape of Good Hope looks harmless. Just a curve at the bottom of Africa, a turn between oceans. But this is where two powerful bodies of water collide, head on. A strong current rushes down the east coast of Africa like a river inside the sea. From the other direction, long ocean swells roll upward from the Atlantic. When those forces meet, the water doesn't flow smoothly. It tightens. It rises sharply. Sailors once called this place the Cape of Storms, not because storms were constant, but because when the ocean aligned just right, ships didn't struggle. They shattered. In 1815, the British ship Arniston approached the Cape after a long voyage. Over 370 people on board, including wounded soldiers heading home. They believed they were safely offshore. They weren't. Strong currents had quietly pushed them closer to land than they realized. Night fell. No radar. No modern navigation. Just darkness and the sound of surf growing louder. Before dawn, the hull struck reef. Not a cinematic explosion, a grinding impact. Wood tearing, water flooding in. In chaos, lifeboats were lowered and flipped immediately in the violent surf. By morning, fewer than 10 people had survived. Over 350 died within sight of the coast. The ocean didn't need a hurricane. It needed misjudgment and opposing forces beneath the surface. In 1842, the Waterloo met the same fate. Driven toward shore by wind and current, anchors were dropped in desperation. The cables snapped, waves lifted the ship sideways and hurled it against the coastline. Nearly 200 lives lost. Before impact, a vessel under command. After, broken timbers scattered along the beach. That pattern hasn't vanished. Even modern ships, steel giants built for open ocean, have reported something terrifying off this coast. The sea can look stable. Then suddenly, it stands up. Crew members describe rogue waves here the same way. It was like the sea folded. Imagine watching a normal swell approach. Then, within seconds, its face steepens unnaturally. The bow climbs, the engines roar, and gravity slams thousands of tons back down so hard the hull trembles. Containers tear loose. Metal screams. This is not slow pressure like the North Sea. This is sudden escalation, because here, the danger doesn't always look violent. It looks manageable, right up until it isn't, and that's what makes it worse. Confidence lasts longer, reaction time shrinks, and when the ocean rises vertically instead of gradually, even massive ships discover how thin their safety margin really was. But we're not done, because there is one place on this planet where ships don't always break. Sometimes, they simply vanish. No wreckage, no clear ending. Don't leave now, because what comes next is the most unsettling water of all. Number 1, the Bermuda Triangle. The sea can break a ship, but here it can erase it. December 5th, 1945. 5 Navy training planes lift off from Fort Lauderdale on what should have been a routine afternoon exercise. Clear sky, calm water, experienced instructor leading the formation. Students joke over the radio. It's supposed to be simple navigation. Then, an hour in, something shifts. The compasses began to malfunction. They believe they're over the Florida Keys. They're not. Fuel is dropping. The ocean below looks endless and identical in every direction. No landmarks, no coastline, just flat blue stretching into haze. Radio signals crackle. The instructor's voice loses certainty. I'm not sure where we are. We might be over the Gulf. I don't know. Students begin to realize something no one wants to say. Their leader is lost. As daylight fades, panic doesn't explode. It creeps. Fuel gauges fall. The horizon darkens. The last clear transmission from Flight 19. We'll have to ditch unless landfall. When the first plane drops below 10 gallons, we all go down together. Then static, no confirmed wreckage, no debris field large enough to explain it, just 14 men gone. A rescue plane sent after them, a large PBM Mariner carrying 13 crew, explodes midair shortly after takeoff. 2 disappearances in one night, 27 lives, and the water remains smooth. In 1918, the USS Cyclops sailed through these same waters with 309 men aboard. No distress call, No confirmed storm, no final coordinates. Before, letters written home, promising return. After, silence that stretched into history. Families waited at docks for ships that never appeared on the horizon. Imagine that moment. A wife scanning the sea for the first shape of a returning vessel. A mother reading and rereading the last letter. Days turn into weeks. Weeks into acceptance without answers. This is what makes this region more dangerous than the Cape, more unsettling than the Drake. There are no splintered hulls washing ashore, no dramatic photographs of twisted steel. Sometimes there is nothing, and nothing is harder to fight than something you can see. Here, storms can build faster than pilots expect. Currents can drag wreckage miles away before search crews arrive. Visibility can collapse in minutes, but the most dangerous element is psychological, because it looks manageable. It feels routine. Thousands of flights and vessels cross safely every year. That's what makes the moment of failure so violent. Before, routine navigation. After, a voice on the radio unsure of direction. Before, confident captain on a steady heading. After, expanding search grids over empty water. The Bermuda Triangle doesn't roar. It doesn't need to. It waits for small miscalculations. A weather cell underestimated, a heading trusted too long, a decision delayed 5 minutes too late. And when failure happens here, the ocean doesn't just kill, it removes the evidence. And when evidence disappears, the next crew believes the risk is smaller than it is. They take off. They set sail. They trust the forecast. And somewhere over that stretch of water, a compass drifts, a voice hesitates, and the horizon offers no answers. A boat rolling in the dark, a platform burning against a frozen horizon, a wooden ship crushed by ice, a wave that doesn't roll, but rises, and somewhere, a voice on the radio, unsure, then silence. The ocean doesn't need to be angry to be lethal. It only waits for the moment we believe we're safe. So if you were at the helm, would you turn back? Tell me below. And if you want to explore more places where nature doesn't give second chances, subscribe. Because sometimes, the calmest water is the most final.